Paramount axes BET Plus and buys out the only black stakeholder. Is the syndicated era of TV canceled for good? TV6 be canceled before it even comes into theaters. And for the final time, we're going to go back in time to discuss why Nina Dobrev did not continue her run on the Vampire Diaries, because there's so much information, like Google is not free. But you know we're going to talk about it on the Sunday Scoop. Hey y'all, what's up and welcome back to my channel. You know, it's Shania and I'm coming to you with all things TV and pop culture, and today we are talking about all things TV and pop culture. Literally, there's been so much happening with TV lately. There's been a lot of quiet behind the scene changes, and I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it. And I think that there's also a lot of speculation and people not understanding, so hopefully we can bring some clarity. And in the Sunday Scoop, which is your weekly scoop for all things TV and pop culture, we're going to discuss some of those things today, okay? So get ready, get you a little something to drink. It's not going to be too long. We're just going to go straight through it. I'm just going to kind of plow through and power through, give y'all my thoughts and opinions. But if you like this kind of content, if you like content from me, I would admonish that you subscribe to me on all of my platforms. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. I don't freaking know, you guys. Just follow me everywhere the screen says right now. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Sunday Scoop. There's been a lot of things happening in the realm of television, what we know about TV, live TV, streaming, and things of that nature. So it's kind of understandable why Paramount acquiring BET Plus or putting it onto their platform kind of makes the news, right? So if you don't know what's happening, Paramount is absorbing BET into their Paramount Plus. So it used to be that, you know, Paramount had 3 SVOD platforms, that is subscription video on demand, right? So they had the HBO Max, they had BET Plus, and they had Discovery Plus. And BET is one of the recent ones that is being absorbed into the Paramount Plus network. We heard about the HBO Max be coming into Paramount Plus later. BET is going to be on Paramount, so that soon it'll have the one main flagship streamer, which will be Paramount Plus. So Paramount Plus is basically saying, we're taking all the rings and we're absorbing them into us and we're making it one. So it doesn't mean that anything is being canceled yet. That doesn't mean that anything is being removed yet. And I feel like I have to clarify that because I saw a lot of people worried because they thought that things were going to get canceled, like the Miss Pat show. It has been renewed for another season, but let's talk about what's actually happening here, right? So BET Plus content will migrate onto the Paramount Plus app. This includes shows like Ruthless, All the Queen's Men, Zatima, Divorced Sisters, and Brothers, if that's still continuing. And many of these shows aired and are tied to Tyler Perry, right, with respect to their original owners. Speaking of Tyler Perry, Paramount also bought out Tyler Perry in his ownership stake in BET Plus, with them being merged, or with it being brought into Paramount Plus, that then would translate into stake into Paramount Plus. His share was believed to be about 25%, which is a decent amount of money. He still has the programming deal and his shows are still continuing on Paramount Plus. I don't know why that was the conversation, but that's definitely still happening. The partnership isn't ending of sorts, but it is restructuring itself. In this, we have to kind of address the black media concern, because the first thing I saw on social media was, oh my God, they're trying to take black voices out, black ownership out. And that could be right? But some viewers, you know, could see this as like black platforms disappearing or the removal of black ownership or control. But the situation is actually a little bit more easier to understand. Like, I need y'all to understand that BET Plus was not a dominant streamer. Okay, BET Plus did not have the strongest watch time, the strongest fan base, the strongest shows. Like, it was not like, this is not like Paramount acquiring Netflix. If we compare it to like Netflix, Disney, Hulu Plus, BET definitely didn't have a fraction of the reach on their own platform like these other big conglomerates, right? It's actually a good thing for now, because, you know, people make decisions and stuff in shows, but it's actually a good thing for now that BET Plus is being merged into Paramount, because that is going to give a larger audience exposure. It's going to give a better streaming experience, because if you actually use the BET app, you know that it freaking sucks.
Damn.
And it's always sucked.
Damn.
And it's never gotten better.
Damn.
It never keeps track of where you're at.
Damn.
It'll go to the end of the season without you.
Damn.
And with a show like Divorced Sisters or Sisters itself, like, you wake up and you just finished the whole season. You don't even know how.
I'm sorry. Because it was a thought. No, seriously. It was a thought.
It was a thought, and I blurted it out. I did not mean it that way.
I'm fine.
Okay, but just understand, I didn't mean it the way it came out.
We'll take a poll on how you meant it with people here later after the show's over.
Like, I don't know. I didn't really like the BET Plus platform anyway, so it's Robert Downey Jr. Mind you, the Oscars is also happening right now as I'm recording, so I had a wishful thought that I was actually going to post this today. I wouldn't even post it. Nobody cares. But yes, you guys, it's not really a bad thing that BET is being acquired at all. It's actually a helpful thing because they could have just actually nixed it like they've been doing to syndicated TV, but we're going to talk about that soon. BET wasn't really a strong app, streaming service, whatever by itself. And so it being absolved into Paramount is good because they're still trying to keep it around. That they were trying to nix the whole BET as a whole, not just BET Plus. Then we had to start talking about, you know, issues with Black media being censored, X, Y, and Z. I do think that it was a little bit odd that they wanted that stake back from Tyler Perry. These are kind of just things that happen within TV and everybody's getting paid. So the bigger reality is that streaming platforms are consolidating everywhere, and we knew this would happen. Those who have watched from TV, live TV, to cable, to DVR, to now streaming, we knew that eventually there would be a consolidation of these major networks because companies are realizing that if you run multiple niche platforms, it gets very expensive. This was the issue with cable. If you have all of these different channels, running them onto one, like, it makes it expensive just to run them separately. So with bringing them together, it makes it so that it's easier to run that platform, that streaming platform, that business. Also, audiences, me included, prefer less subscriptions. So depending on what I watch, I would love to consolidate my stuff. So I think Hulu and Disney, once they merge, I invested into that because I like that it was consolidated so I could watch Disney and Hulu shows. But it just kind of makes sense, and it's what's happening because we don't like the subscriptions. Like, there's a subscription I have for MGM Plus, and I only have it when I watch Godfather in Harlem. Like, hopefully MGM Plus can also get merged into a big corporation too, because I can't. I literally only have it to watch that show, and it's a good show. So if you haven't watched The Godfather Harlem, you definitely should. This is kind of coming as a big shift as what's happening with TV just in general, because while streaming platforms are consolidating to kind of survive in a way, traditional TV formats are quietly collapsing, and that's when we can go ahead and talk about the cutting of syndicated TV shows, because NBC definitely had the news, definitely had the streets talking with that action, okay? If you don't know what's going on, NBCUniversal is ending original production for a lot of its first run syndicated shows, right? So this includes Access Hollywood, this includes The Caramel Show, The Steve Wilkos Show, and as we already knew a bit earlier, The Kelly Clarkson Show is going to end after 7 seasons. And I want to kind of explain what syndication is and what first run syndication is for those who may not know. For first run syndication, it means that these shows are sold to local networks individually. It's not aired on one national network, right? So first run syndication was really made profitable because it bypassed these national networks to be able to sell shows directly to local stations. That's why a lot of shows you can watch are on your local TV station. WGN is like for Chicago, things of that nature, because it allowed for producers to keep ad revenue while providing stations with popular, flexible content. And then of course there's always the money being put on the ad placements. And also it's the daily scheduling, like having these consistent shows run every single time. It created a consistent high viewership. We saw that with Wendy Williams' show. Like, people were faithfully tuning in every week to Wendy Williams. Producers loved it because they could kind of barter with these different individual networks to get the most, I guess, profit for this one show instead of it being limited to these national networks. So this model created really big daytime empires. So like, I know like Wendy Williams, but like Ellen DeGeneres, Dr. Phil, and of course Oprah. Like, it was extremely profitable for decades at a time, right? But it's dying now. And why is it dying? The issue is us. We are the issue, we are the problem, we are the cause, okay? It is the audience fragmentation. So daytime TV used to just be competing with the different people on their networks and platforms. So like Oprah would be competing with Dr. Phil, would be competing with Maury, would be competing with Jerry Springer. But now what is happening is that daytime TV is competing with YouTube, podcast, TikTok, and streaming services. So mind you, daytime TV is also like live TV. It's also on TV networks and TV shows. So it becomes a lot, right? So viewers who once watched only daytime TV are now tending to just watch creators instead. And you're gonna see that that's actually true. I treat YouTube like it is a cable show. I treat YouTube as if it is a streaming service because it is a source, but it's because that content creators are now posting consistently weekly like these TV shows, except for if you get YouTube Premium, there are no ads or the ads are bearable. You also don't have to get the streaming service cable to watch the show. Like it's becoming like more competition. So when you don't have competition and you are the only one, people are coming to this thing weekly, bi-weekly, whatever, you are on top. But with the new rise of streaming of YouTube people, YouTube content creators like me, hello, people are just not watching daytime TV anymore. There's not enough audience to keep the show going. There are some remaining survivors, so I want it to be known, live with Kelly and Mark, they are still there. I feel like they may not ever leave, and I have thoughts, but I'm not going to share that. Drew Barrymore's show is still going, and the Jennifer Hudson show is still going, which a lot of people were surprised about, but I wasn't. I was surprised that the Sherry Shepherd show didn't get canceled any sooner than it aired.
Be nice.
I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
We do not care.
But also another thing I want to talk to you guys about, right, is that networks are pivoting too. So instead of these expensive talk shows, networks are moving towards like cheaper reality TV programming, sports, news blogs, international acquisitions, right? And the example I love for this is to talk about the CW because the he won! Yes!
I want to thank the
Yes! Shout out to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan for winning their Oscars, but we will not talk about how Sinners was definitely snubbed for Best Picture and for Best Director. They have never given a black man Best Director, and I am pissed, okay? But anyways, there's going to be a few interruptions. I was watching the Oscars and recording, so... An example of this, right, is the CW. So the CW network was really known for a lot of its scripted TV series, for them running for long episodes at a time. We had stuff like the Vampire Diaries, Gossip Girl, Dynasty, etc. And they pivoted themselves too, right? And a lot of people didn't like the pivot because it got rid of the essence of what the CW network is. But the CW moved away from the expensive scripted dramas, and they're now more towards like intentional, like international reality TV shows, sports programming. And with that, even though it was a criticized choice, they are fixed and set to make a profit this year, I believe, and in the years to come, because simply there was too much money being spent and not enough money being made. And we have to remember that these TV networks are a business, okay? So they're good and they're great and they provide great entertainment and TV, but at the end of the day, it is a business. And if you're not making money, then you're not moving funny. These formats are cheaper to produce. And I think that we have to realize that old TV is the way we have viewed and consumed TV is dead. Like it's no longer just about daytime talk media shows and syndicated personalities. It's about personalities that are being formed through content creators, through YouTubers like you and me, like through podcasts, through people who have had a certain fame in one area and are taking their fame and knowledge and pivoting it into the podcasting arena. So there is not just we have to watch Wendy and you have to watch XYZ. And you never had to watch anybody, right? But it was like, if you were looking for these personalities, you found it on live TV. And it's just not the case anymore because we have so many other platforms where these personalities can come to life and have their own show and be just as profitable, if not even more profitable to networks like a YouTube or to their own selves. I do want to know from you guys though, do you think that daytime talk shows are dying and there's no revival? Or do you think that it's time that somebody reinvents the wheel? I have to say for myself, I'm not a big daytime talk watcher. I used to watch Wendy Williams vehemently, daily, even Ella DeGeneres here and there, Dr. Phil, of course, Maury. But I think that for me, it is dying. It has been dying for a while. And I'm surprised that it took this long for those shows to be cut as far as the profitability side. Because once we leave out of the nostalgia and the history of, it comes down to the profitability, which a lot of these shows stopped having a while back. I really did like the Caramel show though. So I hope that he kind of pivots to either YouTube or something because he was hitting. Like, I love me some Caramel. I hope I'm getting her name right. Speaking Speaking of reinventing the format though, I want to talk next about Scary Movie 6. Now, Scary Movie 6 is a part of a long Scary Movie franchise, which is the parody movies for like the Scream movies and things of that nature. But Scary Movie 6 has just announced after 10 years, maybe it's been 13, I think the last movie was 2013, that it will be coming back with Scary Movie 6, and it does intend to offend everybody. And a lot of people are talking about, I saw a clip that said that Gen Z are complaining about Scary Movie 6 and saying that it's already too offensive with the trailer. I do want to be clear that no credible sources have said that yet.
So that was a lie.
I think that this is an attempt to rage bait older viewers and also rage bait Gen Z viewers, because we actually grew up watching the series. The first Scary Movie was 2000. Gen Z is 1997 to 2012. No Scary Movie to be a parody, a comedy parody. So there's tend to be a lot of offensive, unnecessary jokes. And I think that with Scary Movie 6, the same will be done. And I don't want anything to change about that. People ask, are we getting too woke in our consumption of TV and television? And I think that the answer is no. I just think that the jokes are not funny. And so it's not even that like I'm offended at these jokes, is that the jokes themselves are not funny. Like gay jokes or making fun of basically has the same quality as like a fart joke. It's lame.
Boring.
There is always the offensive side, and I like that, but there's also a balance. So people are like, oh, you guys are not offended about this, but when Dave Chappelle's jokes were not funny to me.
Damn.
So there's that. I watched the trailer for this movie and I literally was laughing, because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't think that there's anything outside of what's actually being done in this country that can truly be super offensive like a Scary Movie 6. So I, for one, will be watching it and I will let you guys know about it. I think that it's just important for us to, not as a collective, but like as us as individuals, what is funny to you? Why is it funny to you? Like, what is this? Because I have a science behind what I find funny, child. And I think that in any group, offense will come if it is a joke towards a marginalized group. However, I think that the way that movies and, kind of go about it, it's Scary Movie, y'all. Like Marlon Wayans, like when have you, like, come on, y'all. Do y'all remember what we were letting them get away with?
Hello? Haro? Hibachi Benihana Teriyaki.
What?
Come on, guys. Like, this is comedy. Like, this is fun. And also, this news headline is probably fake. So, but what's not fake is something that we need to go back to, okay? And this is my throwback tea segment. This segment has not been done by anyone. Let me know if you guys like it, because I'm gonna do some more. Because what's happening with the nostalgia on TikTok that we're finding very simple, right, is that there is old speculations and old things that have been debunked years ago that people are still talking about today. And I just feel like, let me just bring it up and talk it up with y'all again today. Because if y'all are talking about it on social media and it's happened years ago, sure, it's not new tea, but throwback tea still be hitting, okay, if you know how to heat it up. Thank you.
Good morning, Rita Ora. We're talking about you.
Why Nina Dobrev actually left the Vampire Diaries. I think that I have, unfortunately, one of the culprits of these debates still continuing on in 2026.
You fucking the brand up. You're not building the brand. You're fucking the brand up, but you want to be the CEO.
I think that this is something I want to come back to, because the fans, y'all have been literally debating this for years and we have not been helping, okay? The internet is blaming relationship drama, pay disparities. I've seen some crazy stuff, y'all. I have seen some crazy stuff that I just know just ain't even true. So I think that a lot of the newer viewers or just people in general may have never been privy to this. So I'm going to talk about what was actually revealed to be the reason that Nina left the Vampire Diaries from Nina herself. What the internet has been saying, which I don't think that there is a lack of truth in, what the overall truth about the matter is, okay? So it was revealed in like a oral history book, kind of a tell-all, that Nina Dobrev, Candace King, and Kat Graham were the lowest paid series regulars in the first 2 seasons. Elena Gilbert, Catherine Pierce, Somebody Petrova, Caroline Forbes, and Bonnie Bennett were the lowest paid series regulars. Okay? Do you hear any men in that equation? Please tell me how that makes sense at all. Especially when you consider that Nina, you know, the context of this, Nina was the lead female protagonist and she was also playing multiple characters. Meaning she had double the scenes, double the lines, and double the shooting time, right? And she actually says this in that oral history book. I want you guys to go and read that if you have the time or the space or the money to buy it. But she says specifically her contract was only to play Elena, but she was playing double characters, which doubled her workload, and she was still paid less than Ian and Paul Wesley. Now, how do that make sense?
The truth.
So that was the biggest thing that led to it, right? And then it spoke about, you know, how there was tension behind the scenes because they had to pay her separately. So think about it. Because she was not getting paid for being a series regular playing 3 characters or playing double characters, when she would play that Catherine, they would have to pay her separately for paying Catherine because she was still, even with that, not getting paid as much as Damon and Paul, who for all intents and purposes only really played one character. Now, Paul Wesley did play as Silas and the other doppelgangers, but Ian didn't, right? He was just Damon, okay? So this is the thing about boundaries, right? Nina said, okay, y'all can pay me less for playing multiple characters, but when I play this other character, y'all gonna have to pay me some money. And because of that, the studios wanted to limit how often the character appeared rather than just paying her on the same scale or greater than Ian and Paul. You know, it came to a point where the writers was just like, okay, at this point, we just have to kill Catherine because we can't afford it. But why I can't afford it? And we know that the CW wasn't making money for all intents and purposes, but y'all were obviously making enough money to pay Ian and Paul double the amount of one of the main characters of the show. And I would even not disagree that Bonnie and Caroline should have been paid less than. I think that it makes sense that Caroline and Bonnie were paid less as series regulars. Once season, when Atlanta go into the casket, that definitely put more emphasis and pay onto Caroline and Bonnie's role. But I think that that makes sense. But what does not make sense is Nina Dobrev not being paid as much as Ian and Paul. Elena Gilbert, the girl in the middle of 2 men every season, is not getting paid as much as those 2 men. That's crazy to me. And it kind of shows you, if you watch the seasons too, you kind of notice it, how financial negotiations were affecting the storytelling. Because if they say they're just gonna kill Catherine because they can't afford it, then they bring her back to life, but then she gone, like, you know, it's a lie. And that was a big thing that was mentioned in that oral history thing. It was more so about the pay disparity, right? And so despite the raises that came over time, Nina stands firm that she was never reached equal play with her male leads. Again, Ian Somerhalder and Paul West. It was out of principle that they wouldn't bump her up to being equal to the boys. What's the principle? Well, back in that time, you have to think about it. TV shows and TV networks were still very toxic. It was an all boys club. So it's like the principle of what? Men being men. Neither one of these characters would even exist if it wasn't for Elena and the whole, it's like she's the catalyst character. So I feel like the main catalyst character that I'm going to have to see for every single season and get tired of freaking seeing and get tired of her lines.
I'm sorry. Because it was a thought. No, seriously, it was a thought.
Should definitely be paid on equal playing field because we see Elena more than we see Stefan and Damon up until she leaves. We see Catherine Pierce more than like they're all regulars, but that makes no freaking sense to me. And it never does, and it never will. And it's still happening to this day. Not on that level, but a lot less people are talking because of the economy and people don't want to lose their jobs.
Life could be worse. No, not really. This is the worst.
This is the worst.
This is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, like, I don't even want to spend too long talking about this, but even the finale itself had the pay issues. So I posted a video, which people were mad about, but I was like, you know, how Nina just showed up into the last episode. She had this terrible vibe and bad acting. And it was meant to be funny. It was meant to be a joke, but it was actually pretty true, because even at the finale, there was pay issues. She was offered 5 times less than her salary to return for the season. So she left. And she's coming back. And for that last season, because we were supposed to have a last season with Elena, not a last episode, a last season. They wanted to pay her 5 times less than what the boys were being paid, and 5 times less than her original salary, to try to punish her for standing up for herself and saying, I need to be paid equally to these 2 female leads that cannot move without me. So because of that, she only appeared briefly in the final episode. I'm surprised that they even could come to a negotiation to pay her for whatever they did pay her for that. And I don't follow her for that, you know? And now, of course, we have to think about, like, the fans, that we have our own theories. So when all of this was happening, y'all, the biggest one was the rumor and speculation that she had left the show due to Ian cheating on her with the Nikki, who he would later go on to marry, who was a close, strained friend of Elena. I might be mixing names. Elena, Nina, I don't know. The online speculation, including the cheating rumors, the awkwardness on set, and the strained relationships. We know that Ian and Nina dated. They dated for a while on the Vampire Diaries, but they did have a 10-year age gap. So where they were, or where they were mentally, was never going to align. Ian was ready to start a family. Nina simply wasn't. But there was also that factor of that how fast it was that he went to Nikki, which made a lot of people speculate, had he been dealing with Nikki prior to preparing to break up with Nina. Now, the white girls are ironclad, so their story has been the same. Nothing was done underhand. There hasn't been no cheating. There was nothing of that sort. It was all, like, you know, natural. But I definitely think that if not cheating, allegedly, it was still some sneaky underhand stuff going on, because the turnaround from Nina to Nikki was crazy to me. I'm sorry. Y'all are all on set together, right? And I think that that was not the reason that she did not return. I think it was more so about the pay disparity, but you have to think about those also being a thing. So, like, you are having to kiss your ex now. You are having to try to not make it awkward, but you are not together. So there's that mental aspect. You as a star are noticing, like, you know, he's building with someone else on the set, right? Like, those type of things. It can be very emotionally uncomfortable, and then you're not getting paid enough to even deal with that. So I think, personally, I think it was everything. I don't know that he cheated or nothing like that, but it's a well-known fact that people love a good sloppy second and a third left over. So I think that that was a case, but I really think that it was majority due to simply her not being paid enough to deal with none of that BS. And you have to think about it, the CW has never been profitable, so why couldn't they pay her what she was well earning and deserving of, right? Like it was some weird boys club mentality going on now. But I think that, you know, if you have a character that is taking on these huge emotional arcs and is the face of the show, you see Ian, Nina, Paul. If you are the face of the show, there is no way you should be getting paid 5 times less than your co-stars. Especially if both co-stars have to interact with you for their storylines to continue on. This wasn't the Brother Diaries. Ian didn't die. Well, technically they did because they're vampires, but there was no situation, there was no event. It was Elena. So that to me has always been bewildering. And they did try to get a comment from the executive producer at the time, CW, but he ain't never responded. And I also think it was some underhanded stuff too, because it's like, okay, what you wasn't getting from somebody that you had to get, like, you know? But the show originally was only supposed to be for 6 seasons, but it's not just about moving on, right? It's about the workload, the pay disparity, and honestly, just being ready for what's next in the future, especially if Ian is in your past, and that is your ex. And as we know, at the end of the Vampire Diaries, Damon and Elena end up together. So I think to have to play that, or just to do that, it's simply too much, and it would be too much for me too. I mean, I would probably keep doing it if my ex was Damon Salvatore, aka Ian Somerhalder. Yeah, I think I would continue to do it too. I couldn't deal with him and Nikki though. Now that would make me leave. Y'all not paying me enough, and y'all canoodling. Oh, okay, don't worry about it. I'm gone. I don't give a. I need my money. I care about the show. Listen, the show only matters so much, child. It is about that coin at the end of the day. You need to get paid for what you're worth every single time. Thank you. Let's go ahead and end it on my favorite scoop, which is the weekly scoop. And these are my weekly things that I feel like you should check out this week. You know, we talk all things TV and pop culture, so I'm going to have to bring up TV, movies, music, and pop culture in this. Like any of these recommendations, or you agree with me, let me know, because I want to actually track people that are listening to my recs, because I actually am very passionate about these. Okay. If you made it this far, you haven't subscribed, it's rude. Like, it's literally free. Like, I'm not even producing anything that you need to pay for yet. You know, it's free. It's appreciated. Thank you. The first thing is I want to highlight some creators. So I definitely think on YouTube this week I have been watching Lex P TV, Choice TV, and FD Signifier. So they're all kind of different. So briefly, Lex P TV, she is one of the hosts for the Poor Minds podcast, which has a bigger fan base, but she has her own podcast that she does every single Monday. They're about 30-minute bite-sized episodes, and I love it because I think that, yes, she talks about mess and pop culture if you're into that, but there is always starting off with a positive affirmation, and she's very responsive to her viewers within the first few hours of watching the video. So I think that that's good because she has created a community in a very short time, and I like that. I think that's the perfect thing. I also don't really hear too many podcasts as being on Monday, because it's like, Monday is that day everybody goes back to work. But for her to try to make it positive, I think that was really clever and cute. Choice TV has been on YouTube for forever. Choice TV usually does a lot of unpopular opinions. I remember him all the way back when he was talking about the computer shake back ass bitch. He was talking about the Ace family. He was talking about how all of the YouTube couples and everything were scammers. But also Choice TV does a lot of unpopular opinions. He talks about his life traveling. He talks about how he came up in YouTube. He talks about the state of the world, and he's really talks a lot about pop culture in general. And I love Choice for that. I think he's very honest and he is hilarious. Sometimes he has odd food options, but I think that if you have not heard of him, have you been under a rock? You need to get under him ASAP, okay? That he might offend you. We were talking about offense earlier, so just be warned. I don't agree with all of his unpopular opinions, but I do love that he posted and he is super real and he's unapologetically himself and didn't have to change that for anybody else. So I like that about him. FD Signifier is another content creator on YouTube that I really like. I just watched his video, 4 hours, no ads, the Tyler Perry video on YouTube. I sat through for 4 hours and watched that entire thing. I think that his commentary, he does a lot of commentary on hip hop, the state of the world, black men, the black manosphere as he calls it. But he has such good informative takes, and you can tell that even when he doesn't have the language or the research to be able to speak about certain things, he brings in people and it keeps like a community fostered and checks and balances kind of feel. And I just think that he's also just pretty freaking great. And I hope that in the future, you know, us as people enjoying this content, we're able to support him on his platform. There's a platform called Nebula that he has been pushing for these last few years. Until then, you and I can watch him on YouTube. And all these creators, Lex P, Choice, and FD Signifier, they're all on YouTube, and I recommend them all, okay? Speaking of what I recommend, we're going to talk about these books. Don't make fun of me for the books. The Hunger Games series and the Divergent series. Now, hear me out. I'm not talking about the movies. Especially when it comes to Divergent, I'm not talking about the movies, y'all. I am talking about the books. So I think that the Hunger Games books, they're doing the Songbirds, Ballads of Snakes and that, right? But then there's also the one where they're going to be focusing on Haymitch's Hunger Games, which everybody has kind of been invested in. I'm excited for that. But I'm more so talking about Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. Those books were so good and so tea. And I read them like again recently, and I'm just like, I felt like back when I was a little teen kid, like literally. So good. If you are into dystopian novels, I enjoy that. And especially when it comes to Divergent, because I think it was Divergent, Insurgent, and Resurgence. One of those. I think it was Divergent, Insurgent, and Resurgence. But the last book, y'all, no lie, like I've never, like before the movies were even a thing, the last book of the Divergent series did make me cry. Like I actually cried when the realization hit. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. I don't even know why, you know, I had the character in my head that I have, you know, really connected with, but yeah, definitely would do that. I love the Hunger Games. I love dystopian novels and actions, and because it's actually what's happening in the real world. So, especially now. And then finally, y'all, let's talk about music, because I am a girl. You need to understand that I am a Black woman who is not a monolith, y'all. So I listen to almost any and everything except for country, okay? There's not been one country outside of Lil Nas X and Beyonce that I've been able to consume. Like, not even your Shaboozies, y'all. I'm not into country, but I am into a whole lot of other things, and I'm trying to put y'all on too. So the first thing is the Popular Monster album by Falling in Reverse. This album came out in 2024. It's 2026, and I'm still playing it as if it just came out in 2024. I love rock music. I love screaming rock music. I love screaming punk rock music. And I love Falling in Reverse because Ronnie Radke is my birthday twin, and I truly feel like if my life was lived differently, it would kind of mirror his life. You know, like I feel like I'm the same side of where he's at now. Like, that's my birthday twin T. But the album itself is really good. My favorite songs is Ronald and Popular Monster and Bad Guy. I love the Bad Guy. And I'm not talking about big guy. Big guy. No, I talk about bad guy. Bad. B-A-D. No Michael. Okay, I love all different types of music. So I love all things TV, pop culture, music, anime, movies. My song of the week is Man at the Garden by Kendrick Lamar. If you listen to it, it's literally saying, I deserve it all, I deserve it all. And that is the mindset and the mantra that we need to take, not just for this week, but just for life in general. We deserve it all. Like, we truly deserve every good thing and every opportunity that's out there for us. And this song says it, but like, you also need to make that a thing in your head. Like, you deserve it all, quite literally, okay? You really deserve it all. We deserve it all. Man at the Garden, Kendrick Lamar. I'm telling y'all, it's not gonna fail. Oh my gosh. And that is the scoop. It's clear that television is rewriting its playbook in real time, right? Some are staying true to the formulas though, hopefully, like Scary Movie 6 as it prepares to come into theaters. And sometimes when we look back at the tea from long ago, like the Vampire Diaries, we realize that the biggest drama really isn't usually on screen. It is what is happening behind the scenes with casting, networks, programming, and so much more. And with that being said, I'll see y'all next Sunday for the next Sunday Scoop. And hopefully this gets actually posted on Sunday. Nope. This one might get posted on like Monday. Nope. Maybe Tuesday. Because right now the Oscars is happening and Sinners has only won one award. So like, don't piss me off. I'll see y'all next week, y'all. Bye.